Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Max, and as you just saw, I recently got the chance to experience the new Tesla Model 3 refresh, widely known as Project Highland, firsthand. As a current Tesla Model 3 owner and one who bought one in 2023, literally the day before they announced the Highland refresh, I figured I could provide some pretty good perspective on what I think of this car and if I'd recommend the upgrade. Before we get into that, a friendly reminder that if you are enjoying this content, please hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way ensuring that I can continue to produce content like you're watching today, so that is always much appreciated. Alright, so let's get into the test drive. So to begin with, just talking about the experience in general, it was actually quite a bit different than my previous test drives with the Tesla. They actually only gave me the car for 15 minutes versus the usual 30, and they didn't actually give me the key card with my test drive. This meant at no point after pulling off the lot was I able to actually stop the car and put it into park, because then I'd have no way to put it back in drive without a key. They would actually have to come and get me. Now this was fine because I wasn't actually sharing the test drive with anyone like my wife, and I wasn't a true prospective buyer, but if I was someone who was actually looking to purchase the car, I would have found this a little bit annoying. When we test drove the Model 3 that we actually ended up purchasing, both my wife and I took turns driving the vehicle, and it was nice to be able to pull over to the side and switch seats and do that test in a single run. That would not have been possible with the way they're currently doing these test drives. I do wonder how much of these limitations were driven by content creators taking these cars on test drive to produce videos. Both factors definitely limited my ability to get footage. I wonder how much of that limitation is based on Tesla simply trying to rein in that type of activity. Even with all that, I was able to get my time with the car and get some good shots, so I feel like I have enough to share with you today. So let's get on to my review of that. So starting with the exterior, the refresh is a welcome change, giving the whole appearance a much sharper look. While the front I would say looks marginally better than the past design, the back design with the full Tesla logo written out on it and the way they've integrated the headlights into the lift I think looks significantly better. I also like the new design in terms of the tire covers. I think they have a much more sporty look than the previous ones, and the profile overall is just a solid improvement. Getting inside the car, the whole thing has a much more premium feel to it. From the microfiber felt side panels to the various accent pieces, they really took a step forward in build quality. Obviously a huge new feature is the ambient lighting that run around the entire interior of the car, and I for one love this feature and love the way it looks. You can see that it's really bright enough to show off during the day, not just at night, but it does have the feature to have it on, off, or on auto, where it will turn on when it gets dark outside. Overall, there are just updates and accents all over the vehicle, giving the car the feel that it really deserves at its current price tag. The infotainment display is technically a larger screen, but with the smaller bezel, it actually kind of felt a little bit smaller than the screen on my current Model 3. I do like the updated wheel with the Tesla logo written out versus the turbine logo, and obviously the big change here is no stalks. So we have click button controls on the wheel for both of our turn signals and our windshield wiper and things like that, as well as the shifting controls moving to the infotainment display with a swipe type control. Now the main interior upgrade in the back is of course that new rear display, which controls AC, seat heaters, and has access to all of Tesla's entertainment apps, from games to their theater apps. As a father of two, this is definitely an awesome feature and something that I would love to have for the kids in the future. As far as storage is concerned, the main update that you'll notice is in the middle console versus having a separate cup holder and sliding console section. They have them all kind of integrated together with these two panel sliding doors covering up both the cup holder and the storage access. I do have to say this is probably my least favorite aspect of the upgrade. I think the two doors just kind of slapping together in the middle has a much less premium look and isn't super functional since most of the time you want access to your cup holders. So I thought it was unnecessary, and personally like the previous design of the cup holder just sitting out standalone. Taking a look at the trunk, not a whole lot changed here other than the fact that you have extra side compartment storage on the sides. The liftgate actually makes a different noise when you hit the button too. And when I was looking in, checking out the storage, I noticed that on the ceiling of the trunk, you can actually see where the subwoofers would go had this been a long range or performance model. As I was driving a rear wheel drive model, there are no subwoofers, but it still has the cage there, and they looked very noticeably empty when you stuck your head in, since you don't get those there. I know they're there because Tesla wants to have commonality between all their car designs to save costs, but the fact that they aren't there and empty was just kind of funny and very noticeable. For the front, not really a whole lot of change there, and we still don't have any power close functionality. So in terms of comfort, I actually think I might like the feel of my current Model 3 seats versus the Model 3 Highland seats. Not that they weren't comfortable, they still felt great, but I think the ventilation components that allow these seats to have the cooling feature made them feel just a little bit more firm than the current seats that I have. That's obviously a great feature and probably trumps the comfort aspect, but the trade-off is it does take away some of that marshmallowy feel that you get in the current Tesla seats. that was just my personal opinion. I still think they're great seats, very comfortable, just not quite as squishy and comfortable as the ones I have in my current car. So let's get on to probably what is the most important aspect of the car. How well does it drive? Well, it drives like a Tesla, so it drives great. Once I got past the shifting on the screen or using the stalks, it felt just like my current Model 3, albeit a little less powerful since I drive a long range with the speed boost, and this was just a rear wheel drive model. Using the buttons for turn signals definitely is going to take some getting used to. I found myself reaching for the stalks a few times, but even by the end of my 15-minute test drive, I was already adapting and reaching for them far less often as I drove around. So I really think it's something that everyone could get used to. I am definitely thankful that they moved away from the haptic buttons that were in the S and the X, and also the fact that they went with an actual horn that you can hit in the center versus a button horn. Getting used to pressing a button versus slamming on a horn is not something that you want people to adapt to, especially in an accident situation where split seconds matter. I will say the ride felt a lot quieter and smoother. Much of this has to do with the fact that they've upgraded to have double-walled glass around the entire vehicle versus just the front, like my current 2023 Model 3. And if I was noticing it up front, I guarantee you someone riding in the back of my current car versus the one that I was test driving would have a much more noticeable difference between ride quality. All that to say, it feels and drives great, and definitely feels like a needed upgrade to the previous design. So then what's the verdict? Well, obviously from everything I've said, you can tell that I think that this is an amazing car. But that's different than who should actually be buying it. And for that, I really think it depends on your position. If you're someone who is a first-time Tesla buyer, or your lease is up, or your car is a little bit dated, and you're looking to upgrade and you're already shopping for a car, this is an excellent choice. The Highland Refresh makes it a superior vehicle in almost every way compared to the previous Model 3 that I'm currently driving. And I can promise you, once you get behind the wheel of the thing, you'll not be disappointed in the choice of going with this car if you are in the market for a car already. It's a phenomenal ride, it looks great, and it's the epitome of what makes Tesla the most popular EV car manufacturer on the planet right now. Now, I will say my only caveat to this group though, if the features or having the latest and greatest technology isn't make or break for you, you might want to consider buying a Model Y. Right now, with the discounts that are basically available every month, and the fact that it still has an active tax credit, you can actually get into one of those for much cheaper than the new Model 3 for what is technically a bigger vehicle. Now, you would have to purchase that realizing that they're gonna do a refresh just like this around this time next year, so it's gonna feel a little outdated. But again, if those features aren't a big deal to you and you just want the best bang for your buck, I definitely think it's worth considering. So then that begs the question, who isn't this for then? Well, if you're like me and you bought a Tesla last year, or honestly, if you've bought one since 2021, then I don't really think there's enough here with this refresh to warrant going out and shelling out the cash to buy this update, just to have those new features and technology. Don't get me wrong, it is definitely better in almost every way, but when test driving it, it did not feel leaps and bounds different than my current ride. And a huge aspect of this, if you're a shopper in the US, it no longer qualifies for that federal tax credit. When the Highland was first announced, I did a whole video talking about how I felt about my decision since it was right before that announcement, and one of the things that I talked about was the fact that I was still okay with buying now because my fear was not only would that discounts at the time go away, but also you would not be able to get the tax credits. And lo and behold, that's actually what happened. What this effectively means is what I would pay for the same version of car I have now in the Highland Refresh would have run me $10,000 more than I paid for it back in September of 2023. That makes me double down on what I said in that video, feeling that the timing of my purchase makes the most sense. While the new Model 3 is still better and an upgrade in almost every way, it's not a $10,000 upgrade, at least not in my opinion, and most budget-conscious consumers will probably agree with that. Even at superior, I personally don't think it's $10,000 superior, but I do stand by the fact that it's a great ride, and if you are interested in a Tesla and you want a Model 3, this is definitely gonna be a car that you're gonna love driving. I still stand by that Tesla is producing right now the best EV experience for its consumers. If you are someone who is looking to get a Tesla for the first time, or it's time to upgrade your Model 3 because it's 3+ years old, you're not gonna be disappointed. The car is awesome, and it's gonna feel like a significant upgrade if it's time for you to buy a car regardless. But I am interested in your thoughts. Please let me know in the comments below what you think of the Highland Refresh, if you think it'd be worth upgrading just for the sake of doing so. I'm also curious how many people are holding out on buying Model Ys right now because they want to get the refreshed version versus getting something at a discount with a tax credit now. It's a very similar situation to what I was in last year, so I'm curious if some people are buying now to get the cheaper price or are holding out and okay with the more expensive price because these features are that valuable to them. So let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you like this video and you want to see more, please like, comment, and subscribe to see more. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.